Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And breaking news as the Springboks have announced their final side for the sixth round of the 2022 Rugby Championship. A couple of changes as expected, with Kurt Arendse returning to the 23. PSDT also getting an earning a recall. But the big news is the return of a 6-2 split. It is expected to be very wet conditions in Durban. In fact, I'm actually recording this from Durban. We arrived a couple hours ago, and we'll be bringing you build-up throughout the week from inside the Springbok camp. Before we look at some the changes that have been made, look at the team and see what it sort of might mean for this weekend, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Now, we expect to see a couple of changes, and some of them are very expected, some of them aren't. So that is the team for this weekend. And sort of the big news was obviously the fact confirmation of what we pretty much knew, in that Frans Steyn will start at fly half. But if you look at the pack, it is an unchanged pack bar one. PSDT comes in to the starting lineup. Was carrying a bit of an injury in the back of the Australian tour. We saw two very good shifts from Franco Mostert, but PSDT does come in and start this weekend. As a result, Franco Mostert shifts down to the bench. Jaden Henderson is next to Frans Steyn, Maxwell Pimpi, Damien Delende, Jesse Creel, Kane Moody, Willie Leroux. The rest of the back line are remaining the same. So just the two changes to the starting lineup. Now, on the bench, there is a recall for Vincent Koch, who takes the place of Trevor Nyakane. And very, very big news for the Boks is the return of Bongi Top Dog in Manambi, who comes in on the bench in place of Dion Fourie, who I think has actually very much raised his Springbok stocks. I think as a potential third-choice hooker option for the World Cup, in that he can cover flank, as well as hooker, and it means they wouldn't necessarily have to take three out-and-out hookers. So a very interesting experiment, which I think has worked quite nicely for the Boks. The 6-2 split also then sees the inclusion of Dwayne Vermeulen and Albert Lowe being sent back to the Bulls. Also, Evan Lewis not being called up to the Boks, so we won't be seeing either of them this weekend. Then Kwagga Smith rounding up the last forward on the bench. Faf de Klerk then has Kirtley Arendse for company, who is called back into the 23 after serving his suspension. Spoon Course was also an option, but not they're opting against drafting him immediately back into the side. So it's quite interesting changes. I'm surprised that Kane Moody has actually kept his spot. I thought his first test he looked absolute class. I thought last week he was solid. Didn't really get much to do, but I would have expected to have seen Kirtley Arendse back in that 14 jersey. I do think that he is probably ahead of Kane Moody in the pecking order. I think we all know he is, and much more experience at this level. And given the fact that he was so good, especially aerially, I think this weekend, wet conditions, we expected to be a very tactical battle. For me, I was expecting them to go Kirtley Arendse back in, and I was almost wondering if we might see Spoon Corsey within the 23 as well. But very much going for a lot of continuity. We're not seeing lots of change, and we're seeing players who are playing well being rewarded. And I think that Vincent Koch back in gets an opportunity. I thought Trevor Nyakane hasn't had his best last sort of two games. Not quite the Trevor we've been we know and love. But I think that scrums in general actually have been a bit poor recently. So that's hopefully definitely an aspect of the game that we are definitely going to look to try and improve this weekend. The big sort of news, or sort of the thing we wait and see, is how does Frans Steyn go at 10? And he's not somebody who's played 10 a lot. Even in his career, never really played 10 as an out-and-out 10 all the time. Inside centre, fullback, very much more where he sort of found his feet at all levels of rugby. But we are now into our fourth different fly half of the year. No Alton Yankees in the squad, no sort of update whether he might return. We might be able to get that from Jacques Nienaber later. Honje Paul very likely to miss the end of their tour, and now Damien Willemse returning to the Stormers with injuries. So all of a sudden, the Springbok stocks are looking very thin, and they're going to need Frans Steyn to come good this weekend. But I think the biggest worry is if Frans Steyn doesn't make it through the match, if he goes down for whatever reason, we are suddenly playing a makeshift fly half. The likes of probably Faf de Klerk, I think it has to be, or Willie Leroux shifts into that position. And I think that's probably where we need cover at the moment. And very surprising that we didn't call up a fly half into the squad during the week to try and make sure we've got that cover. So if we look at sort of the cover that we do have with the 6-2 split, Willie Leroux, Faf de Klerk, probably the two that can potentially cover 10. Obviously, Kirtley Arendse covers the entire back three. Damien Delende covering the two centres. Frans Steyn can also shift to inside centre if needs be. But quite surprising that we didn't call it. I personally would have brought in a fly half and gone with a 5-3 split, even if you didn't bring him off the bench. But to have that option, to have a goal kicker, because if Frans Steyn goes off, suddenly you're relying on the likes of a Faf de Klerk or a Willie Leroux or a Jaden Henderson to kick for goal. who are definitely not sort of primary goal kickers. So it's a very interesting side. It's a very good side still. I think from a pack point of view, I think it is a very dominant pack, and hopefully the conditions actually might suit us. Whilst we are chasing a bonus point, 3 more tries are still tries. And maybe we've now gone with a very forward-orientated, very powerful pack to try and bully Argentina on home soil. And we did see the pack very much go toe-to-toe and get dominance of Argentina in Buenos Aires last weekend. Let me know what you think of the team down in the comments below. Please do smash the like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well, bringing you live updates throughout the week from Durban. We are on the ground here, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to get all that information. Turn your notifications on as well, so that you will be notified every single time we post a video, we go live, or any updates. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.